Hello everyone, in this video we want to talk about the count function in the Microsoft Excel. We have 4 different count function. Actually we have 5 different count function, but these 4 count function are used a lot in the Excel when we use Excel functions. So the first one is the count function. The count function will counting the number of the cells that has numeric values in it. So for example, in the D column, we have right now 22 cells that contains numeric values, and we have one cell with the text value, and the others cells are empty cells. So when we use the count function, we can write the count exactly by the name count and open parentheses. In this function we can have 255 arguments, but in the each one we can insert a range or a cell. So for example, I can have a range here like this, or I can have a cell here, or I can have a whole column in one of these arguments. So for example, if I choose whole column D, I will calculate the number of the cells in this column which contains the numeric values, which is 22 right now. So if I enter a value, a text value in one of these cells, this function will not count this one because it's not a numeric one. But if I add a numeric value, I will have 23. It means that I have 23 numeric values in the column D. However, the COUNTIF function will count all cells that has any value. So for example, here I just count the number, I just count the cells in the range C2 to C23, and I count the number of the cells contains any value. So for example, if I choose the whole column here, it will calculate the name at the cell 1 as well as the other cells. So right now I will have 23 cells that contains a value in the range of the column C. So if I want to have number of the names in this table, I just need to make it -1. So I exclude the C1 from here by using -1. But also the count A is useful when I want to count the number of the cells in the one column to decide which of these cells is the last cells of this table. So for example, 23 showing me the last cells of this table is 23. So when I using another function, or I want to use for example the index function or something like that, I can now understand which one of these cells is the last cells used in this range, and for example I can use the next one, the cell 24, as the empty one. Also, if you add another text value here, for example the text in the cells C24, it will calculate this text as well as the numeric value. So if I have a numeric value here, the count A will include this cell into its counting function. So I have right now 25 values in this range. So let me empty this, and we can see there is 23 right now. And if I -1 this one, I have the number of values just in this table, showing that there are 22 customers' name in my table. So this is the count and the count A. I have COUNTIF and COUNTIFs as well. The COUNTIFs and the COUNTIF will calculate the number of cells that are equal to one of my criteria. So for example, in the COUNTIF function, I just have one criteria. I just need to, for example, right now I want to count the number of the names which are equal to the A. So I use COUNTIF function. in the first argument I need to define the range. So for example, the range is column C, and I want to count the number of the cells which are equal to the A value. And if you use a text value, you need to enter it in the double quotation. So right now it's showing you there is 7 cells that are equal to the character A. And if you want, you can use the cell value, for example F7, which contains the character A as well, and showing the 7 as well. So right now COUNTIF showing you how many cells are equal to this criteria, which is A. And if you drag this one to the end, you can have the number of the cells which are equal to the character B and C. And also, for example, here you can divide this value to the whole total columns. For example, 22 columns we have right now here. If you divide it to this and use F4 for having the absolute self, and right now you can have the, you can see the 32% of these customers are A, and you can drag it right now to see there is a 50% of your customers are customer B and 80% are C. And this is somehow can help you to predict the next customer comes into your store will maybe is B, and in the most case are B customer. So this is the COUNTIF function, and the COUNTIFs is generalization of the COUNTIF function. We can have more than one criteria in this function. So for example, if I want to count the number of the customers that are A and in the year 2019, I can use COUNTIFs function. And if you open the arguments of this function, you can see there is a criteria range 1 and the criteria 1. And if you select criteria 1, you can see the criteria range 2 is appeared, and you can select the range 2 and as well as this criteria, and you can have almost 255 range and criteria. So for example, I want to say count the number of the customers name in the column C, the ones which are equal to the A. So I can enter the character A in the double quotation, I can say I7, which I know in the cells I7 I have the character A or customer name A. And also, for example, right now if you press the OK button, you can see it just worked like the COUNTIF function, because I just have one range and one criteria, and it calculates the whole number of the customer A that appeared in the column C. And if I want, I can use another range A, and count the number of the cells in this range, which is equal to 2019, and it calculates the 5. It says that there is a 5 customer A in the 2019. It calculates these, it counts these cells. And the way it's work is just like that. It's going to see, okay, let's count the column C. How many cells are equal to the A? It's 7. And in these 7 cells, how many of them have the value of range A equal to the 2019? So it's somehow work as an AND. So both of these criteria should be met, and and it will calculate the number of the cells equals to the A in this column C, and then number of the cells equals to the 2019 in the column AA. So we have 5 of them. So if I want to drag this function to the right and to the down for calculating the number of the customer in the year 2020 and the customer A, or for example number of the customer B in 2019 and so on, how can I do that? I need to absolute the column C because I do not want to change this when I drag this formula, as well as the column A. I do not want this column be changed when I drag to the right and drag to the down. Also the cells I7, which is have my value A, I want these cells be changed when I drag down. So the row 7 should be row 8 when I drag 1 down, and it should be row 9 when I drag 2 down. So this row should be changed, but the column I should not be changed when I drag to the right, so it should be remain column I, and I need to make it absolute by entering dollar at the before, in the before of the column I. The cells J6 should not be changed when I drag it to the down, but it should be changed to the cell K6 when I drag it to the right. So the row index should not be changed. I make it absolute, but the column index should be changed when I drag it to the right. So when I press enter button, let me empty these cells. So when you drag this one to the right and then drag it to the down, you can see it calculate this one properly. So this is how the counts function works in the Microsoft Excel. These are really helpful and useful functions, and it's used a lot in when you're writing function in the Excel. Thanks for watching. Until next video, goodbye. In order to watch more training videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Diaco Ltd. And if you want to see our products, please visit our website, diaco.co.uk.